We're living in a time when people have discovered that it takes more than just your laptop's atrocious pinhole camera to get by. Everyone from preteens to senior citizens needs a good webcam these days, whether it's for learning from home, Zoom meetings for work, streaming on Twitch, or telemedicine doctor's visits. Whereas in the past you might have used your computer's camera a few times a year for video calls with your aunt, now they're a commonly used necessity, and companies are trying to move forward with new designs, new features, and new demographic targets. Today we're going to take a look at two of the newest webcams on the market to see if the potato cam is truly a thing of the past. Before we get started, guys, I know I asked this a lot of you, but the channel has really been struggling for exposure recently, so if you do enjoy this video, please consider dropping a like down below. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my upcoming content, be sure to get subscribed and hit that little bell down there too. It really does help out a ton. Don't forget, we have our ongoing series on gaming PC basics resuming next week with a look at how to choose the right parts for your build. So what are we looking at today? Well, this funky little device is called the Osbot Tiny. It's an AI-powered gimbal stabilized camera with gesture control and motion tracking, which is what intrigued me the most about it. The video maxes out at 1080p 30, and it has a built-in 2x digital zoom, smart white balance, and dual mics. That's quite the package, even if the $200 price tag is a bit on the high side for a consumer webcam. It's targeted more at professional applications like online meetings or presentations rather than gamers, but you know if a piece of hardware is good, gamers won't hesitate to snap it up too. Hopefully it lives up to the claims. Now, this chonky boy is the Elgato Face Cam, and it also tips the scales at a hefty $200. Elgato touts it as the ultimate webcam with a pro-grade lens. One of the cooler features here is that it has onboard memory to save settings if you move it between machines, which I'm not sure if I've ever used on a webcam before. The marketing states that the Facecam is crafted for creators, and in fact the entire Elgato brand is aimed at gamers, streamers, and content creation professionals. It has a 24mm f2.4 lens and can record at up to 1080p 60, and it sends this video uncompressed for low latency, high quality imagery. However, it has no microphone, so this is not a standalone unit if you just want to do video calls. That in and of itself is disqualifying for some, as even if the video is superior, having to invest in a separate microphone might not be worth it. Let's take a look at their video quality now and then compare them side by side. So we are recording right now on the Osbot Mini. I don't know why it has my head so high in the frame, but it is tracking me. If I move around, it will follow. So it is locked on, but it wants to keep my head basically at the top of the frame. And we also are lit properly by Elgato key light airs. If I turn the key lights off, you can see how the video looks without any lighting, and it still looks pretty good. But definitely with the lighting, it will correct for white balance a lot better, and I think this image is a lot more crisp. Here's the Osbot software, and as you can tell, maybe it does lack a little bit of polish, especially compared to what we're going to see from Elgato coming up, but all the basic functions are here. You just got to dig a little bit to find them. It's pretty easy to update the firmware on the camera itself. I did that earlier today. In order to configure the video, we configure video tab, and then this little job pops up right here where you can adjust the brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, etc. There's also a camera control where you can adjust the zoom up to 2x right into my mouth. And then I don't know why the aperture is here. You actually can't adjust this. I have tried, and nothing seems to work here. So it's just fixed, which is fine on a webcam. But all your basic controls are here. Although I think the image right now, as is pretty good. One of the really cool things that you'll notice here is that there are a couple of options over here that you can play with. So once you are done with your camera setup and in your video setup, you can come over here and you can actually move the camera around, move the gimbal around. It's almost like a remote control. So this actually might be a really cool thing for streamers who want to be able to move the camera around, show people something else in their room without actually physically grabbing the camera and moving it. You could literally just take this like a joystick and move it around, and the camera head will go wherever you tell it to. And as you can see, the ceiling of my room is quite exciting, and wow, we're going pretty fast. There's the key light, and then we're gonna go down, and you can keep going down. You could go down to my desk and whatnot. And all right, we're getting off track here. All right, so now you're all screwed up, right? Just hit the reset button. It comes right back. It focuses on your face. So some interesting features in here that Elgato and the Face Cam don't have, but overall the app doesn't look quite as great, but still does function as you would expect. Now we're taking a look at Elgato's Face Cam. It's in basically the exact same spot above my monitor, and you can see that the field of view is definitely narrower here, although it still does give you a good idea of what's around me in the room. It's not too punched in on my face. As far as the image goes, it is definitely a sharper image and also punchier. It looks like it's a little more saturated, a little more vibrant. And you can see my dog right over here behind me also enjoying the face cam, but it is definitely a different looking image. And I think maybe if we're going to utilize the face cam for streaming as it is intended, if you have this kind of a picture in a smaller window, it probably will look better. But if you have it full screen like we do right now, I actually think the Osbot's image might be better. We're going to take a look at them side by side in a second, but let's take a look at the controls now for the Elgato software. Now here is the control software through Elgato's camera hub. I have cut it off. It actually is a much larger interface, but a lot of the window is actually a video preview, and we're recording through OBS, not through Elgato. So I'm just showing you the important part here where you can make adjustments to the controls like zoom. So you could zoom all the way in and all the way out. It actually gives you a much stronger zoom option than the Osbot. The Osbot's only 2x, this is 4x. Then you can adjust contrast, saturation, and sharpness. The one thing in here that I think is probably worth playing around with is the exposure. This image, although it is sharper, does look a little overexposed to me. So if we shut off the automatic exposure and then play with this a little bit, I think that is much better of an image than what it was before if we just have it on auto, which almost looks a little blown out, especially like around my cheeks and some of the areas in the background. So if we turn this off and then we play with this, that I think looks a lot better and more pleasing, definitely. But we're going to look at these two images side by side next, and it'll allow you to kind of compare and contrast and see which one you think actually produces the better image. Here we are lined up side by side. The face cam right here on the left, the Osbot on the right. They are as close together as I can make them, and you can clearly see some differences in the image. I think before I adjusted the face cam, if I had left the exposure on auto, I actually think the Osbot's image is much better, much more pleasing, much easier to look at. But once adjusting the exposure on the face cam, I actually think I prefer the face cam image to the Osbot, although I guess it is still a matter of personal preference. If you like your colors a little more muted and a little softer edges, I think the Osbot is probably the way to go. But face cam, the whole selling point of this product is the optics, and I think it is producing a more pleasing image. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments here. But another thing you could definitely tell is that the field of view on the Osbot is much wider than the field of view on the face cam. Just look at where my microphone is in the frame here versus where it is on the other side. You can see how wide this image is here on the, oh, it's tracking me. Should be tracking me. There we go. And notice the face cam doesn't do that, but I mean, we already knew that. That's pretty neat. That wasn't even intentional. But let me know what you guys think about these two images, which you prefer, which you think would be better for whatever your use case might be. Both cameras feature a digital zoom, but while you have to dive into the Elgato software to find it or map a hotkey to your Stream Deck, the Osbot uses a simple gesture control to zoom in. The same gesture can be used to zoom out. Of course, one of the selling points of the Face Cam is while it doesn't have that feature, it has integration into Elgato's ever-expanding streamer hardware ecosystem, one that I take full advantage of myself due to its convenience and robustness. Now, the standout feature for the Osbot is going to be the face tracking and physical two-axis movement of the camera itself. It does this by recognizing a face and then tracking it across the frame, and the range of movement is impressively wide. If you want to make sure your camera is locked on, simply hold your hand next to your face like this. The LEDs will turn blue as the camera locks focus and then back to green. You can then lean side to side or even walk around and you'll never be out of the frame. Similarly, holding an L shape next to your face triggers the zoom function. This is all done smoothly and honestly with very few hiccups. To turn it off, point the head of the camera straight down, and the light changes from green to yellow to let you know that it's no longer processing a video feed. The Face Cam, on the other hand, comes with its own proper lens cap. Because it has no microphones, privacy seems not really to be a concern here. While the Osbot's selling point might be the design and physical implementation of the gimbal system, the Face Cam's biggest feature might just be the products that surround it. Elgato and Corsair have developed an immensely useful suite of products for gamers and streamers, from the ubiquitous Stream Deck to proper studio lighting to even sound dampening material, and for the most part it all works seamlessly together in a very Apple-esque fashion. The more Elgato products you have, the more incentivized you are to keep it in the family. I'd say that while these two webcams compete on a price level, they do appeal to very different audiences. The Osbot Tiny is pretty awesome in its flexibility and ease of use. Gesture controls are simple and don't even require the installation of an app at all if you don't want to. The gimbal is smooth and accurate and silent, and video quality is pretty good, especially if you're giving a presentation or something similar. On the other hand, the Elgato Face Cam is a streamer's friend, someone who already likely has a beefy microphone setup. The video quality is better after some tweaks and does allow you to stream at 60 FPS. The included app and tie-in with other Elgato peripherals is top-notch, and it has a fixed focus feature that will mean that your face is never out of focus regardless of if something else is moving around in the frame. I guess it's really up to you where your $200 will go if you're in the market for a new camera like these. Comment down below on which one of them you prefer, or if there's a better option on the market at this expensive price point. Thanks for watching, everybody, and happy webcamming.